I'm Myung Bondy. Welcome to another episode of Secrets of the Garden, where we bring you expert advice on how to become a better gardener. Today, Brendan Huggins, Director of Horticulture of Greenwood Gardens, will discuss plants that will attract animals such as insects and birds that will help the pollination process. Hi, Brendan.
Hi, Myung. How are you today?
Good, thanks. So what do we have here?
What we have here today is a variety of coneflowers, tickseed, and ironweed. It's a variety of meadowlands from all over the northeast part of the country.
And so why have you selected these particular plants?
All of these are wonderful plants to attract things like honeybees, hummingbirds, and butterflies. So they're wonderful to have out in your landscape.
Where are they destined to be planted?
So we have a large meadow area that we'd like to increase the amount of pollinators that are attracted to that area. So we're going to actually be planting all of these as randomly as possible out in our meadow area.
Brendan, we've all learned a little bit about pollination in school. Why is it important to the world and our ecosystem?
Pollinators help a lot with the genetic diversity of plants by spreading around the different genetics when they're pollinating plants, but also they help to create our food. Approximately a third of the plants that are consumed daily around the world are pollinated. So that means that bees are one of our most important pollinators because regardless of the type of bee, they're constantly pollinating throughout the year.
And how does that work? What is the pollination process?
So typically, a plant will attract a pollinator through its flower, which will contain some sort of sweet nectar. And when the bee or other animal that's pollinating the plant goes in to get the nectar, the pollen will actually fall onto that animal and be carried away with it. So when the plant is pollinated, what happens is that it creates its ability to create a new plant, whether that's in the form of corn kernels or in the form of blueberries. Those are what will feed the seeds when they go to germinate next year, and is typically what we consume because we're trying to get the energy that's stored in those things. And in New Jersey, our state bee is the honeybee, and that's one of the bees suffering from colony collapse disorder. So we've selected plants that will go into our meadow that are going to help a lot of these species in our area that are suffering from low population numbers. So we have here two of our types of different coneflowers and one of our tick seeds. So our coneflowers, this particular one is called prairie coneflower, and it's primarily found in the Midwest, whereas this is another form of coneflower that's typically found on the East Coast. So what we're going to try and do is create an area that has several different plants all together so that it'll attract several different types of pollinators into one area.
Such as what?
So we're going to be able to attract several different types of bees, not just our honeybee, in addition to butterflies and moths, as well as some hummingbirds.
So by planting these, how does it help Greenwood Garden? And then for a worldwide view, how does it help the ecosystem?
On a micro area, we'll be able to encourage our own plants' growth and proliferation, which will help make the garden a more beautiful place. On a macro scale, we'll be able to ensure that plants that we rely on for food and things like that can continue to be pollinated so that we don't have to come up with an alternative form of pollination.
And I understand that the monarch butterflies are endangered, that the population has really been declining at a dramatic rate. Could you tell us about how that works and why this could possibly help to promote their repopulation?
So the monarch butterfly migrates from Mexico and the southeastern portion of United States around the Gulf Coast all the way up through the mid-Atlantic over the summer. Unfortunately, they feed on a plant that has been dwindling along roadsides in the last 10 years. So populations have really decreased. The overwintering population in 1996 occupied approximately 25 hectaacres of forest in Mexico, whereas now it occupies 0.6 acres, which is a dramatic decline and something that we should be very worried about. When we're able to provide food for animals such as the monarch butterfly, we're able to be good stewards of our environment.
Conceivably, each of us us could contribute to the repopulation or to revitalize the population of these pollinators by planting something in our own garden. So that is a great thing, and you have beautiful flowers.
Yes, and even though a lot of the plants that we've looked at today are great in meadow settings, they'd also be wonderful in home beds as well as containers.
And on Bee Day, what will you be doing that particular day to promote bees and the awareness of them?
That will be a wonderful day where we're able to celebrate bees, and we're able to celebrate how much of an impact we can really have on our planet.
Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have enjoyed this segment of Secrets of the Garden, and we would love to hear from you. So please write to us at myungbondy@gmail.com, and we will try to answer your questions on our show. I'm Myung Bondy.
And I'm Brendan Huggins.
Happy gardening.